Locked On Baylor was the first to report that Carson Hall is now the outside linebackers coach for the Baylor Bears. Pretty easy. Changed his Twitter bio and his Twitter profile picture and header there to all Baylor stuff. And boy, I love this hire. I say this all the time. Like, I know I'm probably not going to come in here and say like, oh boy, I love this position coach hire. But in the past, like, I didn't know much about Jamar Chaney when he came in here last year. It certainly worked out. Chris Kapilovic last year was one that I was like, this guy hadn't really had a great offensive line or run game for a while at Michigan State. And I think North Carolina was where he was before that. And thankfully, he was only there for about a month and a half. And then we didn't know anything about Mason Miller because he was coming from Tarleton and Mississippi State before that, but only as like a grad assistant / assistant positional coach. Mason Miller worked out for them. Chris Kapilovic did not. And let's see how great that Alabama team was this year. Was pretty much just as good as Baylor. But Carson Hall is a guy that I love the resume. 30 under 30 for 247. A list that's been very prestigious over the last few years and has won wherever he goes. He's been in the SEC. He played in the SEC. And this Kirby Smart connection cannot be overstated. I know there's some Georgia fans in the comment section that thought it was overstated, but the guy played for Kirby Smart and then coached under Kirby Smart in the most successful part of Smart's career and Georgia football history. Like, again, it's easy to forget because it was 2 years ago how dominant that team was for 2 straight seasons, 29-1. They didn't lose a regular season game, and they won back-to-back college football playoff national championships, including the biggest blowout in the history of the championship game. I know we all remember that well. And it's kind of funny that 2 guys who were on the defensive staffs of in that game on those 2 teams, Georgia and TCU, are now filling out Baylor's staff this year, with Paul Gonzales being the defensive backs coach at TCU at the time, and Carson Hall being an assistant defensive line coach for Georgia, now taking over as cornerbacks coach and outside linebackers coach, respectively. Look, for these positional coach hires, there's only so much you can learn from them because they're usually guys who are fairly green, fairly new, like in Carson Hall's case. But you look who they've coached under. And, Gonzales is not green or new, but he coached under Gary Patterson for a long time on Gary Patterson's side of the ball. And Carson Hall coached under Kirby Smart on his side of the ball, which is kind of like if you're in college and the professor tells you, don't do your research paper on the thing I did my doctoral thesis on because I'm going to parse it like 1,000 times. Like I'm going to rip it to shreds, rip it down to the bare bones. And so it's going to be really tough to get a good grade. That's the same thing with like Carson Hall being like, oh yeah, I'm just going to coach the defensive line for Kirby Smart's Georgia team, or Paul Gonzales being the defensive backs for Gary Patterson. Like that's the toughest job on that staff that you can take. And they impressed enough that they're getting the accolades. Obviously, Gonzales had all those awards from his players at TCU. Carson Hall won a national championship as grad assistant in D2, and then 2 national championships being a positional coach at the D1 level. They've passed the test. They've passed the research papers. And this was 2 pretty damn good additions to the Baylor football staff. And if these are the missing pieces, let's get to work. Can't wait. You could do a lot worse than taking from the Gary Patterson coaching tree and the Kirby Smart coaching tree, which is what Dave Aranda has done to round out the staff. Can't wait to see how it comes together. But just remember, for those people who are going to report on it later, Locked On Baylor had it first. The mainstream media will not credit me. I'm just putting it out there now. But you guys, the ones who watch and listen every day, you understand. You understand where your news is coming from. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. Let me know what you think about Baylor basketball and about the additions on this staff. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is Arizona for real? Is Baylor not for real? Please let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Again, 3/4 of you are watching every day and are not subscribed. That helps out the channel a lot. Plus, If you ring that notification bell, you get notified every time we're dropping a video on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcast. We'll have a show in the morning, and then we'll have the squad show for the Big 12 in the afternoon. Thank you so much for making it your first listen today and every day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Locked On Baylor.